Hey, true believers, Chris Mack coming at you with The Nice House on the Lake, Book 2. I couldn't stay away long. Thankfully, my local comic shop was able to give me almost the entire run of the books that are currently out. I'm only missing, I think, 2 or 3. So I'm just like, yes, I can finally read it. And yeah, it's going to suck having to jump over an issue or two, but it is what it is. Now, if you guys have not watched the review I did on Book 1, or you've not heard anything about The Nice House on the Lake, spoilers are going to kind of abound here, not a whole lot. But if you don't want this book being spoiled for you, pause this, go get the book, read it, and then check out the review and come back. And you're back. So if we remember, at the end of Book 1, we find out that Walter, one of the main, we don't really know if he's a protagonist or antagonist yet, but he brought all of the people from his life that he loves as friends and considers family to this lake house for the weekend. What we find out, though, is the rest of the world has been destroyed. And Walter says he brought these people here because they're a big part of his life and he cares for each and every one of them. He said you'll want for nothing in this lake house. But people are not taking his, what's the word I'm looking for? Benevolence? Sure, we'll go with that one. Lightly. They all want to kill him, causes one of them to get hurt. And here we follow this character, the pianist, I believe is what he's called. His name is Rick. And he goes, that first night was hell. I don't know any other word for it. And we kind of go into talking about what happened to Nora, the one that got injured in the last book. And he's saying that I wanted to help, but I don't remember actually following any instructions. I know I should have, but I was numb. Everything felt too close and too far away. I was dizzy and paralyzed to the spot I thought if I moved, I would throw up. And I appreciate that before we dive into the story again, we see Rick in college with Walter. And Walter's just talking about how, what does he say? He goes, do you think anybody likes me? And he's worried about, how there's not a lot of time. And Rick, being young at this time, he's talking about college and all this stuff. And he's like, do you love me, man? He goes, I love you, buddy. And so does Sarah and David and all your high school friends. He's like, yeah, I know. I just don't hate me, okay? No matter what. Even if everybody does, please don't hate me. I'll never hate you, buddy. Always love, okay? Okay. Keep that in mind, because Rick says that there was this big part of me that wished it had been someone else, because if it was going to be trapped in that house, I wanted to be trapped with him. I wanted Walter to be there next to me and to put an arm around my shoulder and hug me a little and acknowledge how fucking scary this all was. There's a part of me that still wants that. So I'm assuming this is further in the future because we kind of got this same look with Ryan, the writer, in the last issue. Now this book, this particular issue, the only part that kind of almost made me nope out, like I was committed, but there's these transcripts of what's going on in the house. And before we go into any more of it, because there's a few of these, and I was just like, guys, this is a visual medium. Come on. This is starting to be like Krakoan level bullshit. But we'll talk about that in a second. Let's talk about who made Book 2 of The Nice House on the Lake. This is James Tynion, the writer, Alvaro Martinez Bueno doing the art and cover, Jordi Barrell colors, and World Design doing the lettering. And here's everyone else working on the book. And Nice House on the Lake was created by James Tynion IV and Alvaro Martinez Bueno. Man, I wish I could live somewhere like that. That is so nice. Anyway, then we cut back into day 2. And this is Rick. We saw him at the beginning as kind of post-apocalyptic. We saw his college version. And now we see him day 2 on the lake house. And his wife, Naya, I think's her name, tells her, he says, go take a shower, try to kind of collect yourself a little bit. And Look at that. Whew. Wouldn't you like to get out of your shower and have that type of view in the morning? That is absolutely breathtaking. And just the way the art team did here, just astounding. But that moment of serenity is broken when we see this thing that says, it's nice, isn't it? And we see Walter, who disappeared at the end of the last issue. Hi, Rick. I'm sorry, this wasn't how I wanted the week to go. But if this is going to work, I'm going to need your help. And I like the duality of his nature here, where we see the Rick that, or the Walter that everyone knows, and then what we kind of see him at the end. And again, this cuts away to more of the transcripts, security footage, and I get it, probably for time constraints is why they did this. But again, if I want to read shit like this, I'm going to read a novel. And I just kind of feel like they were tooling this to show how it could work in TV is how I kind of feel. And I'm like, come on, guys, let's not do this. Because we get the transcript of what everyone's screaming, trying to help Nora and exploring the house. And then they get this daily itinerary that Walter wants everyone to follow to try to keep their sanity in this new world. And then we finally get back into the book of Ryan, the writer, meeting some of Walter's older friends. And there's a moment here. It may not seem like much, but everyone comes down for food. Like they just try to kind of play it off sort of low key. You know, do you want eggs, darling? Yes. This bagel's so good. Yeah, like really good. And then this guy says, so what? It's a good bagel. We have bigger things going on. And he goes, Walter said he brought a big bag from Bagelsmith in Brooklyn. And then there's that quiet moment. He goes, what? Am I supposed to pretend that he didn't say things now? He did. This is before he blew the world up and went all flesh tornado. And then that's where emotions go high. Sarah, I think is this girl's name. She goes, so there's the last fresh bagels any of us are ever going to see in our lifetime. Can we not? And so a lot of these people are having a hard time trying to accept, cope, what have you, because think about it. End of the world, you have this beautiful place. So I'm sure there's survivor guilt, and we'll get into that here in a second. But here Sarah meets Nora, and she's like, I'm going out for a smoke. I can't take this shit. And you kind of actually see Nora kind of chill out a little bit from the last issue. Nora, what did I say, Sarah? Not enough coffee. But she's like, please tell me you brought a suitcase full of cigarettes. At this rate, I'm going to smoke through my entire pack one day in purgatory. Oh, you don't need to worry about that. I bet the second you finish yours and head back up to your room, there'll be a fresh pack waiting for you on your bedside table. Or that there's a room in here that keeps restocking when nobody's looking. Or if he, meaning Walter, is a real asshole, we'll find like a hole filled with tobacco and we'll need to dry it all out ourselves and start smoking it in pipes. And so these two kind of become friends. She's like, I'm not joking. And they decide they want to start exploring the house. And then this guy, they never reference his name, but he goes, everyone listen up. I found something that everybody needs to see. I can't remember if he's the doctor. I don't know. I just got lucky because they dropped the names of everyone else. I was kind of able to memorize these, but they really do need to start enforcing using everyone else's names, because it's like, who's this dude? Who's this dude? Who's this dude? I don't know. They kind of went over it in the last issue, but I'm not going to sit here and have like a cross-reference manual. You should be able to catch up in a comic. Like, for example, here, he goes, this is Rick again. He goes, hey, Niam, hold back with me. Are you sure? Yeah. And remember, Rick actually had an encounter with Walter at the beginning of the issue. And then we cut back to Sarah and Nora. And it's like, look at all these bookshelves. There's shelves on how to build, repair, maintain boats. Anything on how to make the perfect cigarette. And she goes, oh, that fucker. What? This whole shelf is books and comics that he told me I needed to read back when we were teenagers. I wouldn't be complaining about that. There's From Hell, there's Sandman. There's all sorts of good reading material here, but that's just me. Now, I know a lot of you are probably thinking there's a lot of talking. I agree, comics are a visual medium, but think about it. This comic is more meant as a melodrama, not an action like Superman, Batman. This is supposed to be like a slow burn. And here, right here, he goes, this guy's talking about what he did the night before. He goes, first, I just want to say I'm sorry for losing my cool last night. That's not who I am. That's not what I want to be. Sam, that's the name. She says, what's this about, Sam? I think I needed to see this, to accept that this is really happening. It's different than seeing it in the videos. And they're talking about they all went to social media overnight and saw what was happening in the world. I was so angry last night, I kept walking along the invisible wall out by the road, trying to find some way out. But there wasn't one. And then I was walking back down the driveway, and I was so angry, and I saw this fucking statue with its sad face, and I wanted to push it down. I wanted to hurt it. But the moment I made contact, I saw something. And Brian, the writer's like, what did you see? It shows your home, what's left of it. And so Ryan goes, just put your hand on it. I was not ready for this page, guys. Now, don't get me wrong, the artwork in and of itself is beautiful. The art team really did a great job between penciling, coloring, inking. This looks kind of like that scene from Terminator 2 when Sarah's having that dream. But yeah, Ryan here is seeing what happened to her home. Because what they find out from searching the web, surprisingly still up. That was kind of weird. And someone actually, I'm glad they acknowledged that in the dialogue. They said, the internet's still up? And they're still like, I'm pretty sure Walter's doing something to let us have the internet. But anyway, they notice that everyone's bodies are melting and fusing and just, oh my God. And you can just see the terror in her face and the way she throws herself back. And that's what I'm talking about with this book being a slow burn, is we're kind of starting to see how tensions are rising in this house. Everyone's kind of starting to slowly chew on one another. And then they have this to contend with. And now she's never going to be able to get this image out of her mind. And so we kind of get this juxtaposition where Rick's talking to his wife. And he's saying, essentially, there's going to be an urge to just collapse in the face of all this. The more people think about the world outside of this house, the less they're going to be able to handle it. We need to do what we can to keep people's heads on straight. And again, this is where I kind of say it looks like he's scripting for a TV show. Look at the way that he is cool, collected, playing the piano, while everyone else outside is touching the statue, seeing their home, breaking, just busting to the ground, screaming in pain. And then we also get a moment that there is a plan B as well. So we have no idea exactly what all the machinations Walter has going on in his mind, and I can't wait to read the next issue to find out. I know it was a little ambiguous, guys, but I want y'all to read this series, whether it be all 12 issues of the floppies, or I think it's getting ready to come out, or it is out in collected trade paperback. And when it comes to suspense and horror, I like that slow pace, slow burn, as long as it delivers. Because there's been some stinkers where I watch where it's been like slow burn the entire time and there's no payoff. Here, we're getting on a bunch of different fronts. We're seeing how everyone's collapsing, how Rick seemingly is wanting to try to keep the group together, which makes you wonder, is he going to be the leader they need, or is he going to start thinking that he's the next King Dingaling of the Ivory Towers? And that's what I'm interested in seeing. So guys, Nice House on the Lake, Book 2. The madness continues. If you enjoy what you've seen, as I just said, please make sure to support your local comic shop and grab copies or the collected trade. If you've enjoyed this review, we really would appreciate if you take a moment to hit like, share, and subscribe. Helps the club channel more than you could possibly know. And if you wouldn't mind hitting that fancy little Walter bell next to subscribe, that way as we continue to upload content, you guys get notified. Come to the channel, and we love talking with you all and hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments below or our social media pages, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description. So with all that said, thank you so much for stopping by. Hope you all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, true believers.